And for whatever reason, Charles, your volume appears to be low to me compared to Joe's.
See, this is I don't know
Oh.
what the deal is. Because last week, remember you talking about how it was kind of cutting out, and we brought it down on the StreamYard side, so it
Yeah.
was blowing out. Nothing's changed.
Huh.
I got
Weird.
on Be Awesome Together last night. Not one single complaint about sounding low, and
I mean, it's better than the distortion.
yeah, no good.
So
I just bumped it up a little bit on my board. Joe, I mean, what are you hearing? Because I mean, that's all I have to go by is what you two hear.
You sound fine to me.
how does he sound in relation to my volume?
A little bit lower, but you sound like you're coming in a little bit hot to me. But
Huh.
that could just be me. What do you think, John? John's here, so
That's right.
I mean, I can
all right.
certainly kick mine back a little bit if that's going to help.
Well, I don't really. I mean, the two of you, because mine's coming through my board where I manage my volume differently than yours. Josh says that's just Chris Melodious voice. You two are basically coming through equal. Looking at
Okay.
my recording, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
So
a-
is that any better, Joe?
yeah, I love the sound of your voice.
And to be honest, I don't see a difference. Or hear
All
a
right,
difference,
we're good.
but-
All right. Good.
All right, here we go.
It's not like I can't hear you.
Charles sounds okay.
Get ready to laugh out loud with Wise and Nerdy, the show hosted by two hilarious dads who are bringing their unique blend of wit, wisdom, and nerdiness to the airwaves. From sharing hilarious anecdotes about their own experiences to giving advice on navigating the ups and downs of life, these two dads have got you covered. But that's not all. They're also obsessed with all things nerdy, from comic books and sci-fi movies to video and board games. So whether you're a fellow dad, a pop culture fanatic, or just in need of a good laugh, tune in to Wise and Nerdy and join in the fun.
Holy crap. You know how when you go car shopping and you buy a car, all of a sudden you see a million of those cars on the road?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ever since Ricky pointed out how long this intro is, that's all I can hear now. I was thinking about having through one. Oh my God, I just want to cut this thing off. It is so long. You know whose fault that is? Mine. I got to fix it. But not this weekend, because this weekend I'll be busy. But hey, guys, that is not what I call talk about. There's a video by Kurt, Daddy Christmas himself.
Yo, how
That's
you
so
doing?
exciting. Joe_Ard, Daddy Krampus himself.
Yep. That tracks.
Also, we had a long talk about his. He has some hatred against a certain type of people, and we talked about it on the Patreon.
That's a lie.
I mean, only the patrons know. Only the patrons know.
Yeah.
He hates bearded people.
You know? I'm Charles, and
I
love
hate people who
everybody.
call themselves rock gods of podcasting.
I mean, you stretch that one out. But I love everybody. So let's jump into this. The question of the week is, which celebrity chef would you most like to fix you Thanksgiving dinner? Okay, which celebrity chef would you like to basically make your Thanksgiving dinner, cook for you, those kind of things? Gotcha. Okay, I'll go first.
I already know who you're gonna say.
Who am I going to say?
You modeled your entire look after him.
Look, don't go for low-hanging fruit. Don't go for low-hanging fruit. You go for the easy mark, which is different. And the easy mark is Kurt. I want Kurt to make my Thanksgiving dinner. Smoked turkey. You throw a little side of ribs and prime rib on there, baby.
Some
my
protein
corn-
powder gravy.
You kidding me? No. Here's the thing. Thanksgiving is not a diet holiday.
I know. I know.
I
Kurt's
make
gonna put up some
a
food.
corn casserole that I live for. So, well, thank you,
I
Charles.
really don't care about celebrity chefs. I don't know much about celebrity chefs. But I know I've seen Kurt's food. Never got to taste it yet, but I think he'd make it great. He'd make a mean Thanksgiving dinner.
Well, thanks. It's okay, but I mean, it's my own food, right? So what am I gonna say?
Yeah, you never like, no, it's the best. Yeah.
No. I will tell you that I am hypercritical when it comes to judging ribs, because I know I make a mean rib now, and so I've gone to a couple barbecue places. I'm going, I can do that.
Yeah, no, I get
So, yeah, since I'm already talking, I would related to that kind of. I would have Erin Franklin.
Aaron Franklin
Of
I don't know who
Franklin's
that
Barbecue. Franklin's
He
Barbecue in
shot
Texas.
Hamilton. You've seen the play. Come on.
No, that's Aaron Burr.
It's the guy with the kite.
Yep.
That's Benjamin Franklin. Come on.
Are we just going to keep going down this whole line? Because I love this game.
I mean,
Wait, Benjamin Franklin, isn't that turtle on PBS?
Yeah, actually, you nailed it. Also, that turtle grew up to rent out easy access to couches, TVs, furniture, anything you need for your home. He called it Aaron's Rentals because I can see on your face you don't know what the heck I'm leading up to. But there's that. So who is this Erin Franklin?
Erin Franklin is one of the preeminent barbecue guys in the world, really. And he does Franklin's Barbecue, and you pretty much have to get in line at around 5:30 in the morning before they open. Oh, yeah, and they open at 11. And they run out of brisket about as quickly as you can think. And so people just wait in line and get their barbecue, and it's supposed to be fantastic. And everybody who makes brisket tries to compare it against his if they've tried it. And so why not go to the source?
I get it.
All right.
I get it. Dude, a little side note before we hear Joe's amazing answer, because I'm sure he asked the question, so I'm sure he has. It's probably going to be from Cooking in Dungeon. Just, we know.
It's going to be that roll for sandwich guy.
Senchi?
No.
Yeah, let's go with Senchi.
Popped up on my TikTok this week for the first time ever. But no, he's going to take the easy way out, Kurt. He's going to say his wife. So let's just talk about something else right now. But Netflix sponsored 2 seasons, I think, of a show of like I forget what they call it, barbecue, backyard cook-off. Or something like
Barbecue
that.
Showdown.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about competing in a...
No. I am not good enough. Like, I know how to do 1 or 2 things really well, and that's it. They for that, they're looking for
I've never
breadth.
watched this. I don't know.
Yeah, for all barbecue competitions, they're looking for breadth. You need to be able to do multiple things really well, and I would get my butt kicked.
Gotcha.
So,
All
yeah.
right, Joe. Tell us it's your wife. Cooking in Dungeon.
It's Donnie Osmond, isn't it?
Yes, Donnie Osmond. Good reach, Kurt. Good reach.
No, I was gonna say Bobby Flay, Iron Chef Bobby Flay.
Okay, not bad.
So either him or I was also thinking possibly Mishimoto from Iron
Mishimoto. Yes,
Day, yeah.
Cool. Yes, yeah.
So
I got you though. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you very familiar with Iron Chef, Joe?
Familiar enough, yeah.
I couldn't tell you the season. I'm not super familiar, but I've watched a number of them. But there's this African American dude from Louisiana that whatever he made for his Iron Chef company, I was like, oh, I'll eat anything he makes. That looks. I'm bad with names. Everybody knows I'm bad with names. But I was like, man, I need to figure out. But then at the end, I went, well, if I ever go to Louisiana, I'm not going to get up at whatever time to wait in line or make it a reservation a year in advance, so I'm never going to really get to eat his food unless it's something special occasion somehow. But
Yeah, you're just going to go to a Guy Fieri restaurant.
see, I've actually never been to one of those doofuses. Thank you.
No, you know what the real answer is for Charles, by the way? It's Victory. He's just going to go to Victory and get a bunch of hot dogs for Thanksgiving.
Oh, is that what? I have no idea what Victory was.
It's in Atlanta. It's like literally Victory hot dogs is kind of a
He just goes
place.
to Buc-ee's.
Now wait a
Shut your
minute.
mouth.
I still say Buc-ee's should not get any hate.
Sir, do you mean the iconic landmark place called the Varsity?
Oh, did I say
Georgia?
you're right? You know what?
Campus?
I stand corrected. I did
sitting down.
I did mean the Varsity.
Dog, sir. I know you have not had a Varsity dog, sir. So you'd remember a name. And 2, you'd be like, yeah, let's go there for a celebrity dinner because it's amazing.
I did mean the varsity, and I've not been there, but I figured that's where you would go.
He's just gonna buy a huge platter of Costco hot dogs, and that's gonna be his Thanksgiving.
I've heard those are good. I've never had that Thanksgiving. Anyway.
As far as hot dogs go, they are quite good, but they're still hot dogs.
And everybody knows you go to Costco either for a slice of pizza or the chicken bake.
You can order their pizza by the pie instead of by the slice too.
Well, you know, if you want to eat a whole pie
too. And I know it's cheap. What about IKEA?
Meatballs.
Yeah, right. That's what they're known for. Right? Have you ever been to an IKEA?
I have, but it's like an hour and a half away, so I never go.
I don't go often. Ours is about 45 minutes away. We've been 2 or 3 times, but the thing that Hugh always says, because he looked something else up, blah blah, but their money says that they are a restaurant supporting a furniture store.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
They make so much more money in the and let me tell you, because we like, okay, what's the hype? We're here. We might as well try something. The meatballs are spot on. Everything but it is it's not a full on buffet, but there's a lot to choose from. And it's all good. It's all actually really good. It's like high end cafeteria, but I was impressed.
You know what's funny?
For a date night, but
Hugh probably goes to the same one that I go to, but he lives closer.
Oh, that's funny. That could actually be a thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
How far away do you guys live from each other? Do you know?
About an hour and a half, maybe, depending on traffic.
So the reason we know this is because I snuck up to Rhode Island a couple years ago to surprise Hugh, and I told Kurt so we could try to go to see Doctor Strange Madness, Multitude of Madness.
Yeah.
And it was somewhat right after COVID. And he had a cruise plan like the next week. He's like, I can't test positive. I'm like,
right. Yeah.
But we had looked it up. That's why we know off the top of our heads how far he lives away from Hugh.
Well, and Hugh and I have talked about, look, I live in New Hampshire. He lives in Rhode Island, and they're not that far.
Big states.
They're not big states, and they're not far away from each other. You can visit a number of different states within a couple of hours. It's not a big deal. So, yeah.
All right. Let's
roll that dice.
Now, we've already had a request tonight that they hope the first roll is bad dad jokes. And
unfortunately,
bringing it. There you go. All right.
Unfortunately, not.
What are you nerding out about?
So yeah. Sorry, Devo. Joe couldn't even cheat the dice. He has the camera now.
Yep.
Mine is actually pretty quick. I've been very busy the last couple weeks. I did finish up the Demon Slayer Hashira Training Arc. Zoe and I sat down some night this past weekend and we'd already watched the first 3 episodes, so we just went from 4.
And it's only like 7, I think.
It's 7 or 8, and we just burned through them. It was the art stuff, blah, blah, blah. So good. So that got put on for you, Kurt, is Demon Slayer.
Yep.
There. But and I finished up the Shield Hero season 3, and I was like,
okay,
I'm not really nerding out about much, but I am actually excited about this weekend. I finally got my game show Fandom Face-off set up for CONjuration, and CONjuration is a magic convention, but like magicians, not the card game. But really, it's heavy into Harry Potter, from what I understand. They have a whole track, Joe. This is why there's 50 million sorting panels. They have a basic track that is just sorting. The whole programming for all week is just sorting. Shane Burton, Tyra's husband, is on a panel sorting the SEC. So he's going to love that. Yeah, it gets like that, Kurt. Like, I'm sorting Supernatural in My Hero Academia. Joe, you're sorting somebody, aren't you?
No.
For some reason, I thought you got on a sorting one.
He's sorting hats.
He's my designated driver this weekend. So anyway, I actually
true story.
Even though Joe was going to help, Joe offered. I asked. He said, "Yeah, I'll help you." I just never made time to sit down with him and help me. Is this a good Harry Potter joke? But I'm actually pretty proud of the research I did today. I have watched the movies. I am familiar, but I really want to just have just enough knowledge to have the joke land with those hardcore fans. Either aggravate them, like I do with the anime people, and Joe knows that joke, or go, "Oh, those are really hard decisions to make against each other." So, and sadly, Princess Leia pretty much got eliminated from the entirety of the game. She just wasn't fitting the categories anymore. And I've played this game 3 or 4 times now, and nobody ever picks her in the choices. And I would think otherwise, but yeah.
Maybe it's not the choices that are the problem, but the questions, Charles.
I'm sorry, you enjoyed the crap out of yourself the last time we played at Southern Fried Gaming. Thank you. Had a plant in the audience. This time I'm going to have like 4 or 5 plants in the audience because Tyra is coming and
it'll be your little shop of horrors.
But what we're going to do is like we did last time, we're not going to really at first acknowledge that we all know each other. And I'm just going to go hard on you guys. It's going to be fun. All right. That was mine. It's short. Who's next?
I'll talk about Demon Slayer some more, and then Kurt can jump in and talk about it some more. So my wife and I, my wife. So I had already watched it when it originally aired in Japanese with the subs. My wife always waits for the dubs. You act like I'm being snooty.
Fancy pants.
I'm just being impatient. I'm not gonna wait. So I don't care if you watch subbed or dubbed.
And before I get the comment from Phil about, oh yeah, you can't read, you're in Georgia. No, my daughter and I watched the first episode and we both agreed it wasn't for us, not because of the reading, but because we've only watched the dub, so we're used to the dubbed voices, intonations, patterns, how they deliver things. So when you hear the original in a different, it's a different intonation, it's a different everything, we're like, it's just not the same for us.
I get that.
We started with the subs, maybe. Anyway, so you watched the subs. Yep. Your wife watched the dubs.
Yep, and we watched them together, and there were a couple of times that she was rather shocked, but yeah, no, it doesn't have a ton of action because it's a training arc, like the whole 7.
The main actual hero of the show, Inosuke. That's why I didn't have a lot of action in it. Every time you see him, there's action.
But it sets up the 3 movies that they have already announced to finish off the entire series.
Ooh, that's good. That tracks.
Yeah, so the next stuff to release is going to be 3 movies, and I don't know if they've announced the dates yet on those, but and they definitely left it on a huge cliffhanger as getting you hyped for the next the movies. So
what's great is okay, Kurt.
Oh, I'm sorry. All I was going to say, if they're planning the end of the series, it can end 2 ways, right? It can end with the demons getting vanquished and Nezuko basically returning to normal, or she dies.
I don't know if it's
or both.
That
I guess maybe vanquish the demons with her death or something.
Well, and I suppose it depends on. So you know how in some versions of vampires, if you slay the one that turned the other ones, they get reverted back. Yeah. Or so I don't know if it's going to be like that, or if there will be like a chain reaction. If they take out Muzan, will it kill all the other ones? Or because it's shown that he can, from a distance, Muzan can kill other demons from a distance because he has control over his blood that is circulating in them. And haven't they implied that if you kill the source demon, the other ones will revert? I thought they've said that. They have said. Well, so they've said that it will get rid of demons. I don't know if they've said it'll destroy them or if it'll change them.
Fair enough, but I mean, again, that's my prediction, and I don't know anything. I barely watched. I don't think I finished the first episode of this season.
Okay,
but yeah, but if the whole series doesn't end with either them winning, which is really demons are vanquished, or Nezuko dying, then it doesn't feel like a proper finish.
The thing that has me the most curious is how many of the characters that we have grown to love are going to die in these next 3 movies. I imagine it's going to be quite a few.
When they killed off, I can't remember his name.
Rengoku?
Yes. That was
Spoiler
rough.
alert.
That was
that was rough. I was not expecting that, and it was like, oh, what are you doing?
Well, and it's amazing because that was, I think, their first movie, and then they turned it into a season.
Right.
Yeah. The train. Mugen train.
You hadn't really met Rengoku before that.
Not really.
But in the course of that one season / movie, they made you really, really care about him.
Yep.
Like, they really brought that character to life. And a lot of, I think that's what is missing in a lot of shows these days is a lot of the characters I just don't care about. But in that short little tidbit, they established that character so well. And
beyond that, because it's great writing, great animation, great everything. But the 3 trainees, right, the characters that we love, that we have gotten to know over an extensive 26, 27 seasons series or show series in the first season, we're like identifying with them, right? And as we're watching, and they are just looking up to him, and he is mentoring them, and he's taking them to the next level, and then the tragedy strikes, and you're right there with them. And I thought that was just so well written. I'll say this about this newest season: they went with a little bit different art style, and there's moments where it's really amazing. Like, it just pops out of the screen. And it's not a 3D screen. It's not even. I don't even think I was watching it in 4K on Netflix. I don't know it's on 4K in Netflix. And it's like there's just these moments like, wow. Even Zoe was like, oh my God, that looks really good. So they really went all out and put some resources into the last season for that.
So the company that produces these, Ufotable, or as you and I were talking about earlier, my wife called it UFO table the other day.
Awesome.
I like that better.
But they don't take on a ton of projects because they put their all into every project that they do take, and they put out some serious bangers.
I tell you, Kurt, it is worth just taking a whatever afternoon or evening that you would have. For me, it'd be like a Saturday or Sunday. It just burn through it.
I know.
It really just works back to back. So
it literally is at this time of year is just finding the time to do that.
Enough.
Because once I'm in, but I need to be able to be in.
Here's an honest question, because you're going to be traveling some for the holidays to do your gigs and who knows what else.
Yeah.
Is it long enough travel that you're not having to drive, that you could download on your phone? And so
no, I have to drive. So
to the release date for the movie, it's expected to be late 2025. The trilogy will be distributed globally by Crunchyroll and Sony Pictures Entertainment.
So the first movie will come out 2025.
Yeah, so it just says the movie. I mean, I'm not reading the whole long. But the movie Infinity Castle is expected to be, but it does say the trilogy. So probably starts with part 1, and then So,
my guess is they'll probably put one out a year. That they're gonna just do them back to back to back. But I could be wrong.
Don't do 25, 26, 27. That's just no. Do 25. If it's late 25. Now, I understand production. I want it produced right.
Put them out every 6 months.
Yeah, basically, when you get it done and done right, let it go.
Right.
Channel your inner Elsa.
Yeah.
Yep.
No. That's copyright infringement. We can't say that.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and the writing is deep, and he's right. There's a little action, but here's what I did appreciate about it, Joe. We know it's the training arc, right? That's the name of it. They did not drag out and overextend the training sessions. There was a good pacing to all of it.
Yeah, they kept it pretty succinct with the different phases of the training.
All right. So what else do we have?
So I've got on here a book called Legends Lattes.
So it's my autobiography.
So this is actually, I read this because of CONjuration. I'm on a panel called Cozy Fantasy, and the the woman that's in charge of that's going to be moderating that panel, that she's the one that had submitted it and everything. She's created a Google Doc with a bunch of different examples of cozy fantasy for us to talk about during the panel. And I was looking at the list that she created for books and realized I hadn't read any of the books that she had specifically listed, which I added one of my own in there as well, but I can almost guarantee that none of the other panelists have read the one that I put on there. So I was like, if I want to actually participate in this, I should probably read at least one of the books that's on this list. And so I looked up recommendations for cozy fantasy to see how it matched up with her list, and Legends Lattes was one of the first ones that popped up. And it's a story about an orc who she is tired of being an adventurer and the violence and the killing and all that. She's over it. And so during her adventures, she had found a city that sold coffee, and it was her first time having coffee, and it was an amazing experience. She loved how it made her feel and the warmth that it spread, and so she wanted to bring that elsewhere. So she opens up a little coffee shop in another town, and so it's all about her and her coffee shop. One of the things with Kurt's giving me a weird look.
It's because it's going to take a twist somewhere that nobody expects.
No, so it the thing
like Gilmore Girls meets WoW.
I mean, kind of, I guess. I've only seen snippets of Gilmore Girls, but the thing about cozy fantasy is it's almost always really low stakes throughout. So there's not really any fighting or anything like that. There is some conflict, but it's not fighting. That should make sense, but
it sounds like a Hallmark movie. Oh no!
It kind of
is going to repossess my coffee shop if I don't get 50 drupals or whatever it is.
So, but it's her struggle to also move beyond her past life and not to use violence all the time to settle any of her issues. So.
Charles would just have read the Wikipedia, and that's 100% true.
I read it specifically because of CONjuration, but I actually ended up liking it quite a bit. So I'm excited to talk about it on the Cozy Fantasy panel this weekend. So
I thought sure you were going to say it's called Legends and Lattes because the coffee's made out of the ground bones of demons. And gains the drinker superpowers for 20 minutes.
There is some. They actually call it gnomish coffee. It's not just coffee. The gnomes invented it in this world.
Oh, okay. So you get shorter too.
It's a latte. It's little as it stands.
Right.
You get that much coffee and that much milk. It's very gnomish.
Oh boy.
So, and then the other thing I have on here is AutoHotkey.
Yeah, Joe finished hacking the game, is what he's saying.
Kind of, yeah. Okay. So a couple weeks ago, I talked about how I had been messing around with a script for Final Fantasy VIII. Well, I've made the script a lot more robust. It's almost 800 lines of code at this point, and basically you can, once you have it configured, you just turn it on and it will max out 4 so that's about half of the stats of your characters in Final Fantasy VIII. Granted, it takes if you're starting from super low level to maxing their stats, it's going to take probably about 100 hours of gameplay for this script to run. But yeah, so I have gone through and I have maxed out those 4 stats on all of my characters. In Final Fantasy VIII, the hour, it has the time that you've been playing, and once you hit 100, there's not another character there, so it changes the color of it and starts back at 0. Well, I've changed the color a 3rd time, so. But yeah, I'll probably end up making a video explaining how to use it and making the script available for anyone that wants it. But Yeah.
That definitely, there was I think you were talking about that, and I put in a topic that you should have brought in tonight of, have you ever leveled so much during the game that when you get to the boss fight, it's nothing. It's just like, oh, I killed it.
So I was fighting some level 50-ish monsters at some point, and they were doing like 2 damage to me when I have 9999 health. So
yeah. So he all this effort on a game that's 20 plus years old.
Yeah. And that's the one with the big gun blades and the leather motorcycle jacket dude.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
That's
that
the one.
Was my first one, and I loved it. And I did beat it. I
it
did
is
not ever
fantastic.
change the color of my stats though.
Yeah.
All right. So when does this become a intervention, Kurt?
I know. So so my nerding out thing is 3D printing again, but here's a couple reasons why. One, I put it in the Discord, and if you want to see it, you need to go to the Discord. But the picture of the Mario that I printed out for my granddaughter's birthday,
it turned out fantastic.
It really did. I was very, very happy. I did not glue it together. It was all either snap in or just loose so that you could pose it, which was very cool. It was the present of the day. My granddaughter could not stop playing with it. Everything from popping its head off to taking the hat off and taking the Mario emblem out of it and just putting it back together and everything. She was obsessed, and it is awesome. It was, and then I got all kinds of questions from folks, and might get my first commission piece out of the whole thing. Because somebody said, "Hey, can you print a Cheshire Cat? I'll pay you."
And you're like,
and again,
yes,
I don't even know where I'm going to get the model yet, but it's like, yes, I can.
and where can they see these photos?
On the Discord in our 3D printing room.
I'm so glad you mentioned our Discord. If you go to Linktree/wise_and_nerdy, you can find our open to the public Discord. Right? Open to the public? Do we ever open it to the public?
I think
there's. I don't know if it's on our Linktree, but there's definitely on our website down at the bottom.
Oh, sir, I built a Linktree. It's there.
Yeah,
you're like, it's there. Okay.
And if it's not, do not tell me on the show. We'll fix it after in post.
Right.
But you can also join our Patreon. You can also go to YouTube clips and see just clips of the bad dad jokes, which seem to be the most popular clips. Or you can see the whole show on YouTube. You can subscribe to the podcast. You can do all the things to feel heard, because we're your daddies and we hear you.
Right. So one of the things that I'm launching this weekend is I am going to be starting up a 3D Etsy shop to sell prints, and I'm working on Christmas prints right now. And I think I posted a picture of the Christmas tree box in the Discord as well, with some little mini figures coming out of it.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm going to be selling those, as well as a large version of that. So another tree that's 1.5 times the size, with more figures in it. And that'll all be on the Etsy shop. But it hasn't been launched yet. It's going to launch this weekend. And that'll be under VO by Kurt if anybody is interested in that. And really going to try to do a little bit of a side hustle on this kind of thing. But
that way he can pay for his habit.
Look, some of the companies have had Black Friday sales already, so I may or may not have gotten another box of 10 rolls of filament a couple days ago, and actually had to buy an emergency red roll of filament, which, thanks to Amazon, got delivered same day, because I ran out of red while printing Mario's hat the night before the birthday party.
Oh man.
So I had to get it all printed, because they don't take a small amount of time. That Mario print probably took a total of 48 hours.
Nice.
Well, good on you for being able to get that at the last second.
Yeah. Well, I knew what I needed to do, and I knew how much time it was going to take. So yeah, it was all right. But
it'd be very disappointing if you were trying to print something as a gift and it just squirreled out on you.
Yeah, and stuff has, and you just gotta scrap it and get going again. So
you just gotta scrap. There's your quote of the night. You just gotta scrap it and get going again.
Yep.
I definitely am very interested. We've talked in the Patreon section about different things we could do, and I took a different path for the Christmas party. But when you talked about there's nickel holders you can print and you can put words on them. And yeah, we're going to put, like, if I had a nickel for every life I saved, I'd be rich, and hand those out at the EMS conferences, and it's going to be awesome.
Yep. Still working on the design of that. But yeah.
We got time. We got plenty of
Well,
time.
good, because I don't know how to design anything. So I'm learning.
Well, I thought you didn't find like on Thingiverse or anything?
Oh, no. It was literally an idea I had that came to mind when we were talking last week.
Seen it somewhere.
No.
Gotcha.
That'd be too easy.
Too easy. Oh yeah, I'm putting in a quote here.
I mean, it might be. It might be on Thingiverse or something. I just haven't even looked.
It's a brilliant idea.
Thank you.
It's brilliant. So maybe, hopefully, somebody else has had the same brilliant idea to save you a lot of time and energy.
Or maybe somebody else has not had that idea, and I can sell that design for money.
Yeah, on top of actually printing it so we can sell it. No, that's awesome. I think it's time to do something, Joe. While he's doing that, I can tell you the drink of the night is Benchmark Bonded 100B, and it's all right. It's okay so far.
Bad dad joke.
It's your absolute favorite segment every time.
Segment, but yeah.
All right. This comes to us from Casey J. Says, I found a wooden shoe in my toilet today. It was clogged.
Well, we know that's not true because the toilets flow the other way in Australia.
Swords will never be obsolete.
There'll be plowshares.
They're cutting edge technology.
Waka waka.
Was that also Casey?
Yep. And here's another one from him. With Christmas coming up, remember the best gift is broken drums.
Okay, now that's not even a joke. That's. Oh,
you can't beat them.
All right, I did fail to recognize the punchline had not been dropped. Now, that's just a great gift. It's like, hey, sorry, buddy, I got your drums, they broke. It's
Oh.
There's a speak pipe with a bad dad joke in it.
There is indeed a speak pipe, and here we go.
Past, present, and future walked into a store and glared at each other. It was a very tense moment.
Oh. Yeah. So good. Moving on. Roll that dice.
I wanted to like that more.
I didn't.
You never do.
Never do.
Personal story time.
Shut up, Mike.
All right, Joe, I think you brought this one in.
Yes. So this is the story of me starting college. So when I got off of my 2-year mission for the church, I had $50 in my bank account and I was going to college in about 2 or 3 weeks. And so I being an idiot, I threw all the stuff in my truck. I had a truck with a top on it on the back, so I threw everything in the back, and I drove to the town, Rexburg, Idaho, because that's where my college was. And I showed up there with nowhere to live, $50 in my bank account. The only pre-planning that I had done was talking to my cousin who lived there and asked if I could stay the night at her place. And so I did have a list of apartment complexes to call through that were recommendations. And so I started going through that list, and everyone was like, yeah, no, we have, not only do we not have any openings, but we've got like 12 people on the waiting list. You're not getting in. And so ended up finding one place that was like, actually, I just had someone say they weren't coming back this next semester. If you want to stop by and take a look and agree to take it today, we will bypass the waiting list for you. And I was like, okay. And since that was the only place that said that they had a place that I could actually stay at, I was like, sure, I'll come take a look, knowing full well that I was planning on saying yes, regardless of what it looked like, because having a roof over your head's a pretty good thing to do. But it ended up being that I was in basically the same apartment complex that my wife was at the time. Granted, she wasn't my wife then, but the way it works at BYU Idaho is an apartment complex for single people can only be a single gender, and so technically they had it split in the system as two separate complexes, a north and a south one, even though we shared a parking lot, amenities, everything. And we had the same office building, like the office was the same manager, everything. So it's just on paper, they were two separate ones. But yeah, no, it ended up working out really well. I was able to find a job the next day because it was a high turnover job. An early morning custodian at the college had to be at work at 4 a.m. So, thus the turnover. But yeah, so I got that. I did take out a loan for my first 2 semesters there. Because apparently when you signed up for a loan, it had to be for the whole year. You couldn't just take a loan the one semester. So got a loan that first semester, but because I was working 1 to 2 jobs the entire time, plus having scholarships, even though I only had $50 in my bank account when I first got there, I left with under $4,000 in loan debt. So I was very, very blessed, and I made it work. So it was pretty awesome. Pretty awesome indeed. And this doesn't really relate to my personal story, but I found out today that my nephew has a full tuition scholarship ride for esports for college. He's graduating this year. He's getting drafted to their Overwatch team.
Wow.
For esports. So, yeah, which is, it's kind of, what I found kind of interesting was that's not even he may have played it in high school, but the one that I knew that he played in high school was League of Legends. He was on his high school team, and they went to states for it. So they made it pretty far.
That's awesome.
Wow.
But yeah. So
that is pretty cool.
I didn't even know that colleges were offering esports scholarships. So that's pretty interesting.
Makes sense nowadays, I guess. I don't follow esports, but there's some money to be made in it from what I understand.
Yeah. Well, and League of Legends had their Worlds not too long ago, a few weeks back, and it was, I can't remember. I know I heard the number, but it had millions of viewers, concurrent viewers for the finale, for the championships. But yeah, no, I did watch it after the fact, and I think we may have already talked to this during the Patreon segment, but it was very good. It wasn't a complete blowout or anything like that. It was a lot of good back and forth action. So
cool.
Yeah,
I dig it, man. Kurt, do you have a broke story that became successful?
Well, I don't remember if I've told this before, but it was more about my wife and I had just gotten married, and we were both out of work. I had been laid off because my bosses, I was working for a startup, and there were like 4 of us, and my boss got cancer and died. And so the company had shut. I'd been out of work for about a year. My wife was working for an insurance company, and she had just gotten laid off because they basically shut the division. So I had sent out, I don't know, 40, 50 resumes to video game companies because I was in the industry at the time. And I got a response 6 months later after sending out the resumes. And they said, hey, are you available to fly out to California to interview for a job? And I said, yes, I am. And they flew me out, offered me the job. And 2 weeks later, we got into my car with a TV, a card table, 2 beanbag chairs, and our clothes, and my computer. But we drove cross country. That's all we took with us. And we ate. We were buying groceries at that point with gas station credit cards. So I had a Chevron card. I had a mobile card. I had, like whatever we could do to just buy food, and drove cross country. And the company luckily had an apartment that they used for visitors, and they let us stay there for 2 weeks until I got my first paycheck, and then I got an apartment. But we didn't own a bed for 6 to 8 months.
Oh man,
yeah. So we slept on pool floats because I went to Walmart or Target probably at that point and bought pool floats, which, if you've ever tried to sleep on those long term, they deflate over time. So never comfortable.
Sure. Now,
Yeah,
are you talking about through the night, or are you talking about over days?
Oh, through the night.
Yeah,
through the night. Okay, yeah. And so so all of that is, we had nothing, and we finally were able to pull it together by just hanging in there and making do with what you need to do. So that was really it. I mean, that was kind of the lowest financial point for us ever. And so ironically, I've had family members that say, you guys are too independent. You don't rely on the family for anything.
Okay.
The only similar story I have, my wife and I made bad decisions when we first married, financial decisions, and we were going to her father to ask for money from time to time, and to her mom, and the short version is her dad had left the family when they were little and came back into her life as a teenager, maybe a year or two before I met her. So he really felt needed. So when we finally grew up, I mean, I'm talking about, it took a couple of years, right? It's before we had kids, but it took a couple of years for us to grow up and go, okay, we got to stop spending bad money and manage what we were making. But when we stopped asking for money and we're able to pay our bills ourselves, or, like she had a blowout and he came out because I was at work and away from her, miles and miles away from her. So he came and helped change her tires. Like, oh yeah, we'll get it towed. And it's like, no, I'm good. We changed the tire. We'll just go buy a new one tomorrow. It really hurt his feelings, Kurt. You don't depend on the family life. He liked feeling needed.
Yep.
And feeling like he was helping out, because obviously, I mean, I'm inferring, but making up for lost time, whatever you want to.
Yeah.
That.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. And he didn't really say a lot about it, but it hurt his feelings that we grew up and we didn't ask him for money anymore. And I'm like, I get it, but also I'm tired of watching my wife cry as she asks you for money, because it's embarrassing and tough, and we're just going to handle it. So.
It is kind of a strange thing, right? I mean, it's and yeah, the people who had criticized us for being too independent were my parents. And mainly because my brother and my sister spent a lot of time leaning on my parents for stuff, living with them, and just, relying on them for adult stuff that they were capable of doing. So that was the other part of that.
Yeah, and then there's a weird divorce of thought there that you think it otherwise. Oh, the kid that grew up and went out and doesn't come back for help that's the reliable one. These we needed, but my parents did the same thing. My sister's been in and out of their house and on her own and back and this and that and the other. And I mean, I was 23 when I got married, and we never went back. You know, never needed to go back. And we had to borrow some money, blah blah blah. But that was it. And you know, there came a point in time that my mom was sitting down and talking about maybe when my grandfather passed or whatever. I mean, you know how that goes, and you're like, okay, I gotta get my will in order and blah 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 blah. And she was talking about that, and she's like, "Oh, we're gonna make your sister the executor." And I went, "Why?" Well, you know, because she knows us. I'm like, no. I'm the paramedic in the family. You've said for as long as I can remember, if something ever happens to you, you just want to spend a week on life support playing praise music 24/7, and then if after that week you're not back, pull the plug. I was like, look at my dad, look at my sister. They ain't gonna be able to do that. Yeah. I'm not saying I don't take pleasure in it, but I deal with this like every day for my career. You kind of want somebody who's not that close to you to be in charge of this stuff, but you know, it is what it is, and it's fine. But yeah, I brought it down, but that's okay.
It's what you do.
Sometimes. But I love that you just showed up to college. So, but you knew you were going to be able to go to college. I mean, even though you had $50 in your bank account, it wasn't like you showed up with $50 in your account going, crossing my fingers, I find a place to sleep tonight, and maybe I can get into a school that costs thousands of dollars.
Yeah. The school I chose, relatively cheap. It's a university. It's a fully accredited university, but it costs more like a community college. So
now, and it's Brigham Young, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Brigham Young University in Idaho.
Football team ever, but you know.
Well, so Brigham Young University, Idaho, doesn't have any teams.
My point stands. So, my question is it that cheap for everyone or people of the church?
It's when I went there, it was like $200 cheaper per semester for people who are members of the church.
So it's still affordable, just slightly more affordable for the churches. Yep. Gotcha. All right. Well, you know, with this weekend, we're going to need Tyra and Bob to record some more of these.
Roll that dice.
Why are you not going to use them?
Time for a commercial break.
Fair, but also,
Yeah.
Let's see what this says. All right, you know, you've heard about Patreon. You've heard about the website. You've heard about the clips. Just go to Linktree. linktr.ee/wise.
VO by Kurt.
Is that a Linktree, sir?
Yes, it is.
Okay, well, check that out. But also wise_n_nerdy. You can find everything you need there. It's awesome. So just chill out for a minute. We could use some new music. I mean, not bad. I liked it, but you know, I feel like I play some of the same songs every week. We could use some new music if anybody out there wants to throw some our way. That's royalty free. That's a sound effect, not music, sir. That's Foley. We have a question for the future weeks.
We do. So for our December 5th recording, the question will be, what is your favorite holiday food? Alternatively, you could also answer, what is your most hated holiday food?
Okay. Gotcha. Side note, looking back at our chat, unless there's something more in the intermediate we need to do.
I was just going to say, all of our questions, if you want to know upcoming questions, are over at wiseandnerdy.com/calldad, where you can conveniently click on that SpeakPipe button and leave us a message with either answering the question, or you can leave a bad dad joke like DevoSite did today, or whatever. Talk to us.
Did you say speak pike?
Speak pipe? But speak pike, I mean, a talking fish sounds great.
I agree.
Yeah, let's just let that sit there.
What's going on? Comment in the chat. Big Rando says, apparently in the current job market, people can expect to get an interview from 1% to 3% of the jobs they apply for. Yeah, two things are going on that I've been watching in all the industries is one, it's gone from being 100 resume submission society to 1,000 resume submission society. Don't know why, because everybody's short-staffed and blah, blah, blah. And it's not just watching my kids try to get jobs. It's not just corporate level jobs. My 19-year-old who has a good work history is having a hard time getting a job outside of the one fast food job he has. He'd like a second one or something better. But the second thing I've seen in the corporate world happening is ghost jobs, where they are posting jobs they're not actually hiring for to either boost some morale inside the company or to catch people trying to apply for jobs,
or just to claim they're hiring. Because there's some benefits to being a company that it is hiring, but I can't remember what those are. I remember watching a video about it one time, but yeah.
So yeah, it is. I still believe right place, right time, right person. But I'm not looking for a job, so it's easy for me to sit and say that when I'm not putting out 1,000 resumes and not getting a call back.
Yeah, the company I work for is currently on a hiring freeze because someone I go to church with, he lost his job about a month back, and he's been asking me to keep an eye out to see if there's anything that would fit his resume. And I kept looking, and there's like hardly anything on our job board. And I had a department meeting this past week, and that's when they told us that there's a hiring freeze. I'm like, oh, well, that's why there's no jobs out there. So,
yeah. So I'm torn on this one because we hire on occasion, and we also have a call for job openings when we don't actually have a job opening, and that's because of the right person for the right job situation. We don't want to lose the opportunity to find the right person or to make an excuse to open up another position if we find gold. And so we've had some luck with that kind of thing. In fact, like honestly, we're interviewing somebody for an intern position that's not going to start until next summer, but we're doing that now. Because he actually approached us, and we don't have an opening right now, but he said, I'm looking for an intern position, and I'm looking for it for next summer. And so
so he's the one that specifically,
but he found our job openings through Indeed and other places that we advertise, and just reached out to us because of that. So that's another aspect of it. So it's the other thing. The other reason I think people do all of that, though, the bigger companies, is because so many people get burned by, oh yeah, great interview. Thanks for the job offer. I'll take the job, and then no show at all.
That's how I got hired at my current company. I was not the first choice. Someone else just ghosted them and never showed that first day. And they called and said, hey, are you still interested in that job? And I was graduating in a week from college. And I was like, yes, please. I will take that, which was rather convenient because they ended up, the job offer came with a relocation package and everything. So they took care of all that. Which
is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the market out there is just weird right now. Yep. And God, I hate to be that guy, but the It's not a work ethic. It's responsibility / courtesy of potential employees is not always the greatest, and unfortunately, that skews a little young.
Sure, I'm playing a little devil's advocate.
Sure.
Tons of companies don't give a call back after interviews. If they don't choose you, they don't always give I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying
they just ghost you.
That feedback.
Yep.
I will say, I've had a few take the job. Now we have a process in the EMS world that you have to go through. So they just, when they ghost me, they just don't start the paperwork. Basically, I don't have anybody not show up for orientation. I do have people try to quit, blah blah, but I actually do try to take the effort on the few occasions that we're not going to hire somebody to just let them know we're going in a different direction, just so they're not waiting. But I also very much appreciate when somebody, more or less, they don't call me back. Like I get the application on Indeed, call them up ahead, like do an interview, no callbacks, whatever. Sure, I just accept it, move on. But I do appreciate when I actually had one happen recently that he had scheduled an interview. The day of the interview, he called hours in advance, said, "Hey, so sorry, but I've been waiting for a job offer from this other company in EMS, and it finally came through, and it's 911 versus what we do." But I said, "Cool." You know, I talked to him about it, and I said, "Hey, I appreciate that level of communication. So when you get tired of running that crap and being treated like dirt, you can still come talk to me."
Yep. Now, I will say that I've worked for companies where if you don't get the job, you don't get a call back, but we tell people that up front.
Okay.
Like we basically say, now here's the other thing, and this is frankly, I think this remains true. If you do not hear from the company and you're actually interested in the job, call the company and ask them the status of your application.
That's a good one.
Because that shows that you actually have some skin in the game. That you're really interested and you want that job versus you're applying because your unemployment officer said you had to.
Yeah. Well, and what I do when I was looking for a position, I mean, the position I'm in, I've only been in for 13 months, is when I was interviewing. At the end of the interview, I would ask, okay, what do next steps look like? What's the next step of the interview process, and try to get that nailed down. And if they're being wishy-washy, that I can kind of feel out, okay, well, probably not going to be hearing from them again.
Right.
And I will also say this. I mean, this is 100% just me, and I'm by no means speaking for how society should be.
You're very abnormal, so.
Yeah. Businesses don't owe us anything, and we don't owe them anything. I mean, I get you, Kurt. If you accept a job and they're expecting you to show up,
that's different.
I do think you've committed to something that is different. I agree 100%. But them not responding back, them not saying you didn't make it past the interview, on the other end, when I'm calling people for an interview, they don't call me back. Okay, you don't owe me anything. You were looking, and my industry is a little different. It's very much right now, which is just such a bad mentality to have.
Yep.
But it is 30 years, 40 years since I lost count. Since the 60s is when EMS came around in the United States, and been building on ever since.
Yeah, 60 years. So.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You nailed it. But still, relatively young compared to.
Yeah, relatively young. Yes.
Okay, we're still figuring things out, but we've built it that, and I think that's true in a lot of industries, Joe. I mean, you could have applied to 15 places, not knowing your life at the time, but it would have been relevant had you applied to 15, 20, 30, whatever, how many jobs, got 5 interviews, and the first offer came through for you to take it. That is acceptable, and you wouldn't necessarily need to communicate to the other ones unless, in my opinion, if they send you a job offer, just politely decline it. But again, you don't owe me anything. If you don't respond back in 24 hours, I'm moving on to the next.
Right.
Yeah. No. When I accepted the position that got me at the company I'm at now, I was in the process of interviewing with a few other companies, and I reached out to them because I before I accepted this position, I said, okay, give me 24 hours and I'll get back to you. And
fair.
And so then I reached out to all the other people who I was in the process of interviewing with. I'm like, I've been offered this position. Are you at the point where you could offer me anything? If not, I'm going to accept and we can cancel the rest of the process. And so I did. I reached out to the people who I was in the works interviewing with just to see if they had a counter offer. None of them ended up having it, but that also let them know that I was withdrawing from the interview process.
But you're also taking responsibility, right? You're really jumping in there and going, okay, I need to be the responsible guy, and I'm going to call these companies, give them a fair shot. And you told your prospective client, your prospective employer, hey, I need 24 hours.
Yep.
So that's all we're really talking about at the end of the day is communication. That's really all we're really talking about. And I'm sorry, if you accepted the job and then called these other companies and got a better offer, you don't ghost the first company. Right?
Yep.
You call them and say, I am so sorry. I know I accepted the job, but I got an offer that I can't refuse. I really apologize, but thank you so much for your offer.
Give them a chance to meet it.
Whatever. Like, and it may be that whatever they say, you won't do, but it's a communication thing, right? And then so everybody on day one knows, oh, Joe's not coming. He took a different job. Cool. Versus 10 a.m. going, I thought Joe was starting today.
Yeah, no, that the ghosting is a bad.
It's
thing.
bad. It's bad. Even if you just called and say, I'm not coming in. I decided not to take the job. Great.
It's like it's not gonna happen, but this just cracks me up. There's gonna be a Thursday night where Joe and I just don't show up. Curse like, right. What's going on? You're fired, buddy. You just showed up to work. And work doesn't exist anymore.
if you'd like to be a co-host on wiseandnerdy.com.
All right, man. Roll. That was a nice impromptu little segue, Rando. Thank you. Roll the dices.
All righty. Nope, we've done both of those. That's bad dad jokes. Doubles.
Got to get paid.
We're going to have to make an executive decision here pretty soon. I just keep hitting all the ones we've already done. We're looking for a 3 or a 4. Right. There we go. We got one.
Council of Dad.
Man, look here, Jebediah. Kill me. All right. It's one word. The Parliament of Papas. I think
that's 3 words.
Woo.
Hoodly who, dude.
Dude.
Hoodly who. Hoodly who. Oh my God.
That sounds like Bucky's. So all right.
That was Brack.
Wow. You do great voiceover. Not great voices.
I don't do impersonations at all.
Yeah.
So does that make Charles Space Ghost?
No.
Oh,
no, Charles is Zorak.
All right. Under the Parliament of Papas is the word libraries. And I think we're all going to land on the same side, but I think, Joe, you put this in. Where are you going, buddy?
Yeah, so this was a topic that was suggested, I think, by Kurt many moons ago.
Oh, maybe.
To talk about our stance on libraries in general.
Reading is for nerds. Next topic.
No, reading is for geeks. Next topic.
Personally, I think libraries are criminally underused.
Yes.
They're used by criminals all the time in prison, sir. That's like the 1 hour they get out of their cell.
You know what? This is weird. As much as it pains me, I bet per capita, prison libraries are used more than public libraries.
Probably.
I agree.
Yeah.
Now that's a Parliament of Papas.
Now, I do wonder.
There's more libraries than we do.
I do wonder if prison libraries are still, hardback, paperback, or if they've gone more digital these days.
Good point.
Oh,
probably hardback, paperback.
I mean, you would think, but I'm sure there's the lighter prisons that people have more freedoms, jail. I don't know though. I don't see a prison investing in the digital devices you would need that could easily get broken and shank somebody.
No, but they might allow controlled tablets that can be bought by the commissary or rented by the commissary.
Well, and they could be locked up to a desk or whatever. Like they could be only available in the library.
I saw a video on YouTube where they talked about getting, I think it was Game Boys that they got from prisons. And the Game Boys were provided because they had translucent cases so you could see inside them.
Oh.
I remember that model.
So that the prison authorities could make sure no contraband was being distributed, but they still had to get credits or whatever to use them or something to that effect. It was pretty interesting what was allowed.
Yeah.
But to Joe's point, criminally underused public libraries, 1,000%. Like, the fact that people don't just get a library card like they get a driver's license, only it's easier. Just as a matter of course, you just have a library card is a little strange because it's such an amazing resource. There was a time you remember when Netflix did DVDs? DVDs, Joe, were these like round video discs.
Had a whole yeah.
They had VHSs at one point at libraries.
They probably still do. That's
maybe
the other
even
part
some
of
laser discs.
Oh, I miss my laser disc.
Now
player.
you're just being a
All right.
center, Joe.
Yeah. But during the height of the Netflix disc rental end of things, libraries were the number 2 resource for renting discs.
Okay.
Past Netflix. It was a weird stat, but it made perfect sense because libraries have a pretty huge library and people still donate lots of media to libraries. And one of my favorite things is going to a library book sale, though. I love it.
Oh, you would love it here, man. We have a Friends of the Library group that the library obviously partners with, but they have at least twice a month a library sale. And I'm not really sure how that's working because there's only so many older books you can clear out to make them newer. So I'm not sure how they have it that often, but yeah, my wife and kids go often enough to it. Kelsey says we've got one coming up in December. That's just called Christmas, and he's going to buy you those books. Don't worry about it. I told him about your list. You're good. So, yeah. Man, when my kids were younger, and especially because we were broke, we made it a regular Wednesday night family outing to go to the local library because that they could get on a computer, and that computer had specific kid games that I wasn't going to get or have. Dude, we could even rent computer games, PC CD-ROMs.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I played. It's a slime game. I forget what it's called. World of Goo. I got it from there. And it's one of the Sims games. That's when my kids started getting into Sims because we were able to do that. But they loved it. They loved being able to go and play on a computer at a certain age. And then they always wanted to go look for a book or two before they left. And they wanted 15, but we made it a book or two before they left. We would I got into more comics because they had the comic books. It was great, and life is just taking us in a different direction. But all 4 of my children have grown up in the library. And here's the other thing, boys, are libraries only about books and media?
No.
What does yours offer?
So mine offers meeting rooms where people will go and do D&D and collector groups and whatnot. Mine also has a genealogy room where I would go and do genealogy research when I was heavy duty doing that. I think ours, I don't know if it still does, but also had a little theater where local art groups could go and perform. There's a lot. I mean, they would and ours has during the summer music out in the quad area that they have of our public library. It's not even big, but it's enough for like a 3 or 4 piece band or group or whatever.
Yeah.
So they do a lot. Like there's a lot. They do a lot more. And like for my kids, they grew up going to the public library to do story time because they would have somebody there reading stories to the kids and doing puppet shows. And it really is criminally underused. And that's part of the reason why we don't always get the latest books at libraries, because people don't go enough to warrant the cost increase for that. But it's still it's a magnificent resource. It just is.
Joe, what about yours? What do they offer besides media and books?
They'll have craft days where kids can come in and do crafts and stuff. And then I've talked about it a couple of times on the show, but I've integrated my library card with the Libby app and Hoopla. So now I can get them on, reserve them from my phone instead of even going. My wife just posted in here that Bob and Malachi want to join the kids Minecraft club at the library. And so, there is a lot. Now our local library here, I say local, it's technically the town over. So I don't have a free library, but a lot of people have access to the library closest to them is free. But even if it's not free, it's generally not that expensive. I think ours, and my wife's in the chat, she can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's $50 a year for our library cards. And so, it's only 15 now, she said. So okay, it's way cheaper than I thought. So that's, just over $1 a month. That you're not going to find any streaming service that offers as large of a library at that price. So, yeah,
no pun intended.
All the puns.
I've always known that if I actually wrote a book and it was backed enough to do like a signing or something, it would be at my local library here in town. I would absolutely donate a few copies to the library, not out of arrogance, but out of support. I mean, if it's I have written a book and it's a self-published thing on Amazon. That one's not in the local library. But I'm talking about like, hey, I actually do something that gets notoriety and it matters. I want to bring some attention to the library. With that in mind, now ours offers a lot of the stuff you guys are talking about, the integrations, the community days, the readings. They don't do the music and they don't have a theater, but that's really cool. They offer workspaces, like free internet, and people legit, and I did it for a solid week when my internet was out at the old house, that I went up there every day and sat at a table and plugged in my laptop, and within reason you could have some food and drink, but the reason was you better not spill and you better clean up stuff, and the first time it's out, but they supported people before the work from home movement really came to fruition in COVID. They supported people like me who were already working from home. They had a whole computer library at the time downstairs. I'm not sure where it is now. That was designed for people during the day to come in and start doing online resumes. They had writing classes.
Yep.
They had people that would help you. Those kind of things. More or less that computer lab was for adults to do work, like get jobs or learn, hey, can I do this online class so I can better myself, that kind of thing.
There was a while, well, actually on my mission trip that I talked about earlier, where I didn't have a computer, and so but every week we'd go to the library and check email and send emails and stuff like that, and so great resource all around.
Yeah, and in 2025, one of the plans that One EMS has
is to start a library.
Ooh.
No, that's way too much work, buddy. But it is to actually partner with the library to teach some community classes on CPR and EMTR. Like give people, we're getting funding because we're a 501c3. We're starting the process now to get grants and funding for 2025 to be able to pay for classes, and one of them will be hosted at the local library so people can come there, and then they'll see us teaching and maybe get some more interest and some more information and those kind of things. And it's all going to be, hopefully, because we haven't done it yet, we don't know, but it's hopefully going to be all covered under grants. And then the people who are involved will have a very low interest rate. Like you were talking about, Joe, that $50 a year. EMTR is one of the lowest entry levels that you can have in my field, and it's roughly now around $1,000 to $1,500 for the entire class. Very affordable for a skills-based class that gets you a job. We're actually going to, with our grants and whatnot, we're going to lower it even more. And you might ask, why is it not free? Because I have found out in my own personal experience, when I sign up for free and everything else I've ever tried to offer for free, no skin in the game is a phrase you used earlier, Kurt, about asking for jobs. Well, when somebody puts even $100 or $200, they don't really want to walk away from that. So when the going gets tough, they'll work through it. Versus free is like, I've signed up for a free class from Polaris, who makes Indian motorcycles, to become a non-certified mechanic of my own motorcycle. To be certified, I just have to pay for the test, and then I could work in their store if I wanted to. But I get all the same training. I'm just not going to be certified unless I pay for the test. I haven't done the first class because it's free and I can put it on my back burner easily. And that's the short.
Plus, you're trying to sell your motorcycle.
But yeah, I mean, I love libraries. I do hate that I'm not going as much as I used to. I could easily change that. I just don't, and that's on me. And I love that ours seems to be special. I know you and I, all of us have talked about this off and on Patreon and different episodes. Georgia, for Phil going on backwards. I'm not going to talk about the education system in Georgia, but I am going to talk about the library system is 100% connected. And so no matter, you can be the poorest county, and you can still get, if it's in the system, you can get the most current book from your most current author, just requested, and within a week or so, it's shipped down to where you are, and you get it for that same 2 weeks as any other book that you check out. So you can absolutely get the resources of, downtown Atlanta, which has lots of taxpayer base, down into a county that has 10,000 people and almost no taxpayer base. And
it's pretty awesome that they'll ship it to you.
Ours will do that too.
They ship it to you. They ship it to the library.
They ship it to the library. You pick it up there.
But still, that's pretty awesome.
Same kind of principle. I just wanted to be clear on
ours does that too. In the state of New Hampshire library system is all interconnected. Again, they're all independent, but they have a loaning program. So they just loan resources between, and it's really easy to do.
So isn't the slogan "Live free and check out"? No, his face, podcasters, his face on that one, because I know what the slogan is. That's the way I really make the joke.
Yeah.
But man, his face. Hey, Kurt, this will make you feel better. How do I learn a new language?
Pay attention in school, kids.
The American education system is not teaching other languages.
I am not the right person to ask this, because I took 2 or 3 years of Spanish in high school. I remember very, very little. And I remember enough where I might be able to communicate really terribly with somebody who only speaks Spanish. Like, I would have to have them slow way down talking to me, because you listen to Spanish TV stations, forget it. I can't follow anything. Like, they talk so fast, at least to my ears. I don't know, but I've thought about learning a language, because they've made it so much easier now. So much more accessible. Let's say that. I don't know how easy it is, but using programs like Rosetta Stone or Duolingo, or and they gamify it a little bit, which has a lot of interest for me, because I find that if something's gamified, I tend to stay more interested. So, I don't know. I haven't learned a language in a very long time, and barely knew it because it was high school. Right, so you did the bare minimum just to get through it, unless you were a weird psycho.
No, in high school I did the same, but I remember enough that when I got into EMS, I could we had these at the time. They're under digital devices now, but these actual books were in our pockets that you could flip through different things. And there was a whole sheet of
phrase books.
Well, it wasn't just that; it was all paramedic stuff. But there was a phrase book page that was like, "Hey, this is Spanish for pain, cold, hot." The basics that we need to know. And I could actually be fluent is not really the right word, but I could be fluid enough with how I put it together that my patient could understand that I only understood a little bit and communicate back to me the basics of what I needed to understand to help them.
Well, and if you're saying and asking the same things over and over again, you're going to learn those phrases, right?
And
I mean, you just are.
Kind of key is repetition.
Yeah.
Right?
So, yeah.
You just got to watch Dora the Explorer more, right?
Oh, no, I totally got swipe or no swiping. That did not help me in the back of the ambulance. I looked at the patient, they're like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, swipe or no swiping. They're like, what?
All right. So,
that was worth
I can give it really wasn't. So I can give I can give a whole lot of hate to like Dora the Explorer and shows like that. But the fact of the matter is kids are learning some bilingual stuff from shows like that. Yeah. There's Dora and then Run Diego Run or whatever that her
the cousin.
The cousin's name. And then up here, I don't know if it was all over the place, but there was a show on PBS called Caillou.
Yeah.
Caillou, and it was French. It was like English and French.
And it's tough being bald when you're a kid.
Yep. Yeah. And up here on PBS when I was a kid, they had 2 Spanish bilingual shows. One was Villa Alegre, which was, I think, I don't know, it's just another one of those kids shows, and Carrascolendas, which again would have like a dude in a giant lion outfit, and they would have a lot of comedy type skits and whatever, but they would make an effort to be bilingual and show you stuff. And frankly, back in the day, even Sesame Street would do that. They would have some cartoon skits and abierto, cerrado, cerrado, open and shut. That whole thing. So there's always been that kind of thing, but I still think language is more accessible now than it's ever been because we've got so many resources with subscriptions.
Yeah, I want to put you into another one for kids. Ni Hao Kai Lan was an Asian one, Chinese, I think, because it says it's based on the memories of the show's creator, Karen Cho. In a bicultural Chinese-American household. But my kids and us as parents at the same time were learning functional Chinese. And, of course, that's one of our favorite foods to go to. And especially when my kids were babies, they're always cute. And, everybody's, oh, cute baby. And so when they're toddlers and we're like, say it for them, and they'd say, Ni Hao, it would kill. Because they're like, oh, my God, little kids speaking our language. And it wasn't like, it was better than Dora, in my opinion, is all I'm saying. I really liked how it worked. Anyway, Joe, what's your take on how you learn languages?
Clearly, you just got to have it on repeat so that you can be stuck saying omelette du fromage all the time.
What is that a reference about?
It's a reference to Dexter's Lab.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so, okay. I'm going to take exception to that because omelette du fromage was not Dexter's Lab first. It was Steve Martin first. Steve Martin did omelette du fromage.
All that matters in pop culture is where you heard it first.
Right. Fair enough.
My basics are, so I've learned some German. I did Duolingo for a while and wanted to learn German. It helps if you have somebody you can speak it to.
Sure.
Yep. You a little bit, right? That repetition matters. And really understanding the process, because I did Duolingo. I think now they charge, which is understandable, but it was free then. But I would be doing like a lesson in the car, and it wants me to speak to it. And I didn't want to sit, not like driving. My wife was driving or whatever, but I didn't want to sit in front of people and hammer out these words and feel stupid, which was really
feel like a Dummkopf.
Wonka wonka.
Yeah.
Blockhead or dumbhead.
Scheißen.
You said you were learning German, right?
People, pray for this boy. Pray for him hard. I don't know what to do with him anymore. Kelsey doesn't know what to do with him anymore. We only do this on Thursday night so Kelsey gets a break. That's all I'm saying. But I mean, everything that Kurt said, everything you said. You guys remember the commercials from like the 80s, or at least it was in like a TV show or something, where they put like the headphones on and listen to the tape deck or the CD overnight, and it was going, cheese. This is just an example, but like
fromage.
And you're supposed to be able to let your subconscious absorb it while you're sleeping. That doesn't work.
Never. I've tried that so many ways. Just to,
But
no.
I like you said the gamification, because it's not just about gamification. It's about that works for your brain.
Right.
That's the other key. You might be when I cheated my way through Spanish in high school, to be honest, but. Yeah, I know, right? It was my rebellion. It's a whole thing. I think we've told that story. No, I won't tell it later, whatever. But what was working at the time was the repetition for me, just constantly. So I could write in Spanish better than I could speak in Spanish at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's not the case at all. Okay, same thing. Programming is a language, right? You have to practice. You have to work through it. But it hooks you in. If you're a programmer, it just works for your brain. Piano, I can still read music. I can't necessarily sit down at the piano and play the music I can read, but I can read that music and I can tell you because it hooked. And it was just repetition. And because I had the fundamentals of music workbooks for many grades in my life where I'm just writing out what it means, that sticks with me today. Wish it was more practical. I could just sit down at the piano and start playing anything, but I could if I truly wanted to, because you can learn anything you want to if you find the right way that works for you.
Sure.
But the real thing is desire, right, Kurt? I mean, if you wanted a language, you learn a language.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Well, the creepiest Devo signing ever. Holy crap, man. And that's the never mind, I'm not saying that.
Yep. Good idea.
Thanks, Joe. All right, everybody. It's been weird. We love you all. Stay safe. Donkey Shane.
Follow these nerdy dads on social media. Charles at Rock God of Podcasting. Joe at Joseph_Ard. Check out the website, wiseandnerdy.com. And as always, they may not be your father, but they'll always be your daddy.
And VO by Kurt everywhere.
Why is that even going to do it? It's not even going to do it.
Shut up, Mike.